Welcome to the Entrepreneur Exchange on the Mesh Podcast Network, a monthly conversation about startups and small business with ideas, tools, and advice to operate your business more effectively. On today's show, who buys the most stuff in the world? The U.S. government does, and our guest today is going to share secrets for how you can get your share of the government pie. Mark Mills, Business Development Manager with the North Carolina Military Business Center, is going to be joining us. We'll also be sharing our Small Businesses of the Month feature, where we'll be talking about some interesting businesses that you should be checking out. My name is Jeff Newville. I'm your co-host. I'm director of the Small Business Center at Catawba Valley Community College in Hickory, North Carolina. I'm joined by my co-host, Gary Muller, who has a new title today.
Well, it's similar.
Dean of the School of Workforce Development at Catawba Valley Community College. And the arts.
You're doing so well.
Same as the old boss, the new boss, same as the old boss.
Excellent.
Anyway, so Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited about the things going on at the college and excited about what I hope will be a great fall semester in a few weeks.
So we're sitting here the end of July, and fall semesters at colleges start in August, although it doesn't feel like fall when they do start.
That's exactly right.
So are we going to have people on campus? Are they going to be wearing masks? Are they going to be wearing costumes? What's going to be happening?
Yes, all of the above.
Okay.
But we are excited about having many more students on campus than we have in the last year. Of course, we're being very careful and guarded with the virus and hope that things calm down a little bit, but we're planning to be up and running as we have been in the past. We may be wearing masks in some areas. We make sure we have at night social distancing, but we're counting on things being very close to what they used to be before the virus.
All right. Well, we'll have to continue to monitor the situation. Conditions are changing out there. We want everybody to be safe. We're at a relatively spaced social distance around a table at the fabulous Mesh Studios.
In our new location,
in our new studio location in the Mesh Studios, a lot of cool stuff going on with the Mesh that people should be checking out. So, anyway, we do have a guest with us. We have Mark Mills with the North Carolina Military Business Center. Mark, welcome to the Entrepreneur Exchange.
Thank you, Jeff and Gary. Good morning.
Glad to have you with us.
So prior to joining the North Carolina Military Business Center, Mark served as program director for the North Carolina State University Procurement Technical Assistance Center, known as PTAC. And Mark, I'm putting you on notice early. We're going to I've set the over-under of acronyms at 6 for today. So, and that's PTAC, that's 1. So we're at 1. So Mark was the PTAC counselor at Appalachian State University for 8 years prior to becoming the PTAC program director. He's got over 19 years of experience providing procurement assistance to North Carolina businesses seeking contracting and subcontracting opportunities with local, state, and federal government. He's got 27 years of military management and leadership experience working with the PTAC's Defense Logistics Agency in the U.S. Air Force. Served 9 years in the Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You and I have something in common in that we both spent some time at the University of Maryland, where you got a Bachelor of Science degree in Management Studies, and you've also got a Master's degree. You're like a very cultured, polished person.
Letters behind your name, as they say.
Yeah, no acronyms, remember.
Okay, well, we'll get to those, I'm sure. So anyway, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here with us. Why don't we just start by you telling us a little bit about the North Carolina Military Business Center. Tell us about your organization and what does it do. And obviously, the fact that there's a North Carolina in there means it's a North Carolina organization. But I know from your experience that you've worked with state government, federal government, local government, I suspect. So you're somewhat expansive.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff and Gary. Absolutely. My background does cover local, state, and federal contracting, but the North Carolina Military Business Center focuses on federal contracting and subcontracting. So the North Carolina Military Business Center is a statewide business development and technology transition entity of the state of North Carolina. So it's headquartered at Fayetteville Tech Community College, and our mission is to leverage military and federal business opportunities to expand the economy, grow jobs, and improve the quality of North Carolina folks. So
Now something that I was, I heard you speak a few weeks ago when you had a ribbon cutting at your new facility, which was delayed by 15 months or so due to COVID issues. But I did not realize that North Carolina as a state is one of the largest, has one of the largest military populations of any state in the country. Is that true?
It is true. So the Department of Defense has an annual impact of $66 billion, and it's the second largest sector of North Carolina's economy, 12% GDP. It's large.
Gary, what's the first largest in North Carolina? Do you know?
Textiles.
I don't know either.
It's agriculture.
Agriculture. No, that would have been my second
Yeah,
guess. Seriously.
it's agriculture.
Okay. Well, see, I thought podcasting was bigger than that. So
Yeah.
I was going to say hospitality because it's big for us too.
okay.
And so going back to that, Jeff, with 6 major military bases, over 100 National Guard and 40 Army Reserve facilities, the third highest number of uniformed military personnel in the country, the state of North Carolina created the North Carolina Military Business Center to leverage federal Department of Defense opportunities with these installations, the DoD commands, and the federal agencies worldwide. With that said, there is no other military business center in any other state. North Carolina has the only military business center in the country. Now, there's other states that they want to mirror what we're doing, so it'll be interesting to watch.
So now, if you share, it is possible, Mark, that there are people listening to this podcast from outside of North Carolina. So the secrets that you're going to share could get outside of the state, and the secrets could be out. So I'm just warning you ahead of time.
Oh, no.
Okay. So in terms of the number of companies that the NC Military Business Center assists throughout the year, the financial impact that you guys have, how do you guys work with people?
Yeah, it's the numbers are substantial as far as the contracting. So really, we have 3 ways that we provide assistance to businesses. We have the business development team. We have our strategic initiatives program, and then we have what's called Match Force. And so the business development team, and I'm the manager of that. We have folks, professionals, across the state at 12 different community colleges, from Hendersonville to Elizabeth City, and we identify the most lucrative federal contract opportunities, prime and subcontract. And we notify the businesses. So we want them pre-positioned to be ready to go and bid on these contracts. Anyway, the firms understand the government solicitations, and if they don't, we'll help them. We'll help them review proposals and execute those contracts. That's really what we do. And we do that every day. Every day we come in and we're looking at what's out there from the federal government, to include the Department of Defense, and we're pushing out opportunities to these businesses across the state.
So sort of a chicken or egg type question. I mean, is your role more to monitor what contracts are out there and then find the appropriate businesses to try to connect to them, or do you work more with the businesses and find, hey, I've got a textile company over here that can manufacture socks, and then you help that company find contracts for the military or a government agency that needs socks?
It can work both ways. It really can. So we will look at the opportunities, and I already have a list of those companies across the state that can already provide that product to the federal agency or the Department of Defense. And or I can work with the company and set them up and get them ready to do business. So, and show them opportunities and say, hey, look, you should consider bidding on this.
Well, you said you sort of help companies get pre-positioned. You help get them ready. Talk a little bit about that, and that when we opened the podcast, we talked about the fact that the U.S. government buys a lot of stuff. In the business, we call that a teaser. That's what we call that in the business.
You always give us the business.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you the business. So if I'm a business out there, haven't been doing any work with the government, but I would like to, or I think I'd like to. How do you go about pre-positioning them, preparing them so that when some of these opportunities come down the road, they are ready to take advantage of it?
Great. So, first of all, the federal government buys everything. If you think of a military installation or a military base, and it doesn't matter, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, whatever, Marine Corps, it's a little city. So imagine the city of Hickory and all the things they need to stay operational. Same thing on those military installations. So with the businesses, the first thing I'll share with them is they have to have a past performance. Well, what is that? What is past performance? The federal government wants to make sure that when they do business with a business, that it's financially feasible. They can provide the product and or service, and they can move forward with what is required in the contract. So there's situations where a small business will say, hey, look at Mark, I've been in business for 6 months and I want to do business with the federal government. In most circumstances, they probably should focus on the commercial side of their business and get a little bit more traction before they jump into federal contracting. The federal government's looking for experienced businesses. They prefer to work with established, reliable businesses. Now, there are businesses that they can start out or they just started up and, I've been in business 8 months, and yes, you can get a federal contract and or you could subcontract with a prime contractor. So they're looking to make sure you have a track record, you can deliver the quality, the goods and services on time within budget. So it'd be no different if we were going to build a house, right? Do you want to contract with the individual that's been in business for 8 months, or do you want to contract with somebody that's been building houses for 24 years?
Well, that 8-month guy might give me a better price, Mark. Yeah. Of course, my house might fall down.
Yes, right.
No.
But yeah, it is. There's situations where there are businesses that are prepared to do business right out of the gate. They open up because they have such a specialty. They're a subject matter expert for a specific federal agency or Department of Defense that they could get a contract.
So when you say past performance, it's not necessarily past performance with the government, but the fact that they've been in business for a certain period of time, demonstrated they've got a sound financial record and aren't going to disappear off the face of the earth and not fulfill their contract is sort of what you're gauging, or what the government's gauging.
That's simply outstanding.
Thank you. I'm a quick study.
That was great.
Okay.
But it can take a long time to win a government contract. So you really have to stay focused on going after that and crossing your T's and dotting your I's.
What's a long time mean?
It could be up to 12, 15 months. It could be longer. It's really dependent.
So you don't count on your business when you're getting started having government contracts. It could take a while to get geared up.
It could. In fact, in most circumstances, again, we'll have the businesses set up to do business and or be ready to do business with the federal government, but we'll also recommend that they look at subcontracting with the prime contractors. Prime contractors have a requirement to work with small businesses.
Does to work with the government?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. So they build capacity doing that, and they build past performance doing that. So for the small businesses out there that are considering, yes, absolutely look at the opportunities that come out every day, but focus on possibly subcontracting with a large prime contractor. That would be
Do companies need a special person in their organization to focus on that, or somebody that gets an expertise on working with government contracts and working with you?
Are you that arm
Or
for
are
these
you
companies?
that? Exactly.
Yeah. To some degree, we can provide that guidance, but it's really best for the company to identify someone that is going to run with that.
Gotcha.
And like every day that they're going to look take 30, 45 minutes and look at opportunities, local, state, and federal, if they're going down that path, to look and to start getting comfortable with that process. Proposals are a bit different with the federal government than they are in the commercial world. So, anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about the way you work with companies to prepare them to do business for the government, and are there specific steps in terms of where are they supposed to register? You know, I know. Okay, acronym alert. I hear about this SAMS thing. You know, what steps should they be taking, or what steps do you guide them through? You know, I've been in business for 5 years, doing well. Haven't done any business with the government, but I feel that the product I provide there's some opportunities there. What do you tell that company, and what steps are they taking to make sure they're ready to go?
Great question. So the first thing I do is I want to know if their product or service has been purchased in the last maybe 12, 24, 36 months. So research. So
you mean by the government? You mean?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want them to learn how to do the research, and we can show them. There's many sites with acronyms, and I won't say them, Jeff. So, but there's sites out there that you can see what the government has purchased, and you can identify who the contractors are and or were, and you know if the company can meet the financial requirements, they should move forward and say, hey, look it, when this comes back out again, I'm going to bid on this. This looks like a great opportunity. It's what I can do, and I could provide that service to the federal government. So research would be number one. And there's many organizations that can assist with that in North Carolina. The North Carolina Military Business Center can do that. The GPAC, the Small Business and Technology Development Center's government procurement center, something like that.
Okay. Well,
Anyway, so yes, so moving along, you want to get a D&B number, so Dun and Bradstreet number. Then you want to identify your NAICS codes, and so NAICS codes, what they do, they classify businesses based on particular products and services, and you can have more than one NAICS code, North American Industrial Classification Code. You'd also want to look at your product service codes. So you're probably saying, oh my gosh, there's a lot of codes, Mark. But there are, but it identifies what you do as a business. Once you get that all down, then you can register in SAM. So www.sam.gov. That's where you register to do business.
SAM, S-A-M.
SAM.
SAM.
Yeah.
I'm sure that stands for something. I don't know.
System for Award Management.
Okay, thank you.
Would have never guessed that.
So,
Not it either. I can see why he calls it SAM.
Yes, exactly.
yes. So that would be the start. And once you get registered, sometimes folks believe that, well, all these federal opportunities will just come to my email. They don't. So that's where, from the federal side, the North Carolina Military Business Center has a service called MatchForce, and it's free, and you can sign up. North Carolina businesses can sign up for MatchForce, and what it does, it will send you opportunities every morning to your email based on your NAICS code, your product service codes. So every morning you can wake up, you can say, okay, here's a string of opportunities from the federal government. And again, you can sign up. It's free, and it's called MatchForce.
So if our listeners Google MatchForce, they can find this. If you're in North Carolina, it's restricted to North Carolina businesses.
That's
since
correct.
you're the North Carolina Military Business Center. But matchforce.com, .gov?
.org.
.org. Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So they're in SAMs. Are there other registrations they need to do, or once they're doing that, they're eligible to bid on contracts?
You are, yes.
Okay.
Once you're ready to go and everything's done in SAM, you're ready to go. You bet.
And you talked about the classifications and things to get into SAMs. I mean, does the past performance, does that play into SAM's registration, or does that really come into when people are evaluating a bid or a proposal?
Man, you hit it out of the park again, Jeff. Outstanding.
He's pretty amazing with his
It's
research.
outstanding.
I had a little bit of government contracting experience back in the day when I used to see this yellow Federal Register, I think every so often, and have to look through it for a business. So
Yeah. No, you're spot on. No, that's when the past performance. And with the past performance, we provide assistance with what's called a capability statement. And it's really just a 1-page or 2-page document that a federal agency or a small business specialist they'd have. You share with them so they know what you do. So yeah, that is, once you're doing that, then the contracting officers would look at your past performance, and that would be part of your overall evaluation.
And although your organization is the Military Business Center, you're looking for contracts beyond the military. Other federal, state, local. I assume are there nuances in working between the military, between the federal government, between state government? I mean, I suspect there's some commonalities, but are there some nuances there?
Well, we focus on federal. So, and we focus on federal contracting, and I always say, which includes the Department of Defense, but we're looking for opportunities across the entire country, not just North Carolina, because you can provide a product and or service to any state or federal agency. It doesn't have to be in North Carolina. But the Small Business and Technology Development Center's Government Contracting Assistance Program, they focus on local and state contracting as well as federal. But the North Carolina Military Business Center, our sweet spot is federal contracting. That's what we do.
Okay. So now I will hear things on occasion about contracts that are set aside for veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. How are those classifications determined? Is if the ownership of the company is 51%, or are there certain other ways these classifications are made? And are there specific opportunities that these types of businesses can and should be focusing on?
Great question.
No. We're still going to do, a lightning round that's going to embarrass you. So don't be so nice. Don't be so nice to us, Mark. Come on.
It doesn't work. I try.
Okay. So the Small Business Administration, SBA.gov, another great site if you're looking at getting in federal contracting. Again, they have a dynamic website, and they walk you through the steps of federal contracting. I can't say enough about their website. But they have what I identify as, I call them business development programs, but really they're identified as small business socioeconomic programs. So there's the Small Disadvantaged Business Program. There's the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program. There's the 8A Business Development Program. There's the Woman-Owned Small Business Program. There's, sorry, I'm going through this. There's Hub Zone Small Business Program. And then there's other opportunities as far as joint ventures and mentor protege programs. And they all have specific requirements to get into those certifications, if you will. And it is. In most circumstances, Jeff, you're spot on. It's 51% ownership. And it can be more than one individual. For most of those programs. So those programs, they set aside 23% of all federal contracting dollars for small businesses. And within that percent, those programs get a percentage of that small business. So that's another great opportunity. If you're looking at federal contracting, look at the business development programs to see if you're ready and can use those to your advantage in the federal contracting arena and or space.
And is there a specific certification process that if I am a veteran-owned business, do I have to provide some documentation proving that I'm a veteran-owned business? Does that go through the SBA or through some other vehicle?
Well, it's funny you picked veteran-owned or service-disabled veteran-owned because it's transitioning right now as we speak. From the VA, the Veterans Affairs, They had the business development certification, and now it's going to be under the SBA. We just don't know when that's going to roll out and when that's going to happen. But yeah, it's a certification process. You have to provide documentation. It has to be uploaded. And I would say that out of the program, the business development programs, you have to upload documentation or provide documentation to the SBA for the 8A business development program, for the woman-owned small business program, and for the Hub Zone business development program.
I'll sometimes have people come into our small business center and say, I'm a woman-owned business. There must be a lot of opportunities for me out there. I assume for government contracts there probably are. I mean, I'm not sure that really helps them when they're
Normal day-to-day.
just in working with other commercial clients. But I sort of assume that's really the government contracting arena is where that there might be some benefit to those sort of certifications.
Absolutely. So the Woman-Owned Small Business Program also has the Woman-Owned Small Business Program, which is WOSB, but they also have the Economically Disadvantaged Woman-Owned Small Business Program within that. So there's two programs, and it's really based on NAICS codes. So if you think about NAICS codes that in the past have been really focused on a male, right, business type work or service, those codes are focused on woman-owned small businesses now. So the NAICS codes, they have to meet the requirements of the NAICS codes for those certifications. So, and there can be set-aside contracts for women-owned small businesses out there. So, and I've worked with many that have gotten federal contracts.
And I mean, is there a way that those can be tagged, or you talked about your website that matches people up? I mean, if I'm a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, is that going to direct some of those opportunities to me if I've got all my codes correctly?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. So if you sign up for MatchForce and you have your NAICS codes, and you were certified as a woman-owned small business, then you would get opportunities that were out there that were set aside under the specific NAICS code for woman-owned small business. Yep.
Do any of these requirements change? You talked about prime contractors, subprime subcontractors. If I'm a subcontractor just trying to get into the game, are the requirements a little bit easier to manage, or how does that change? Do I still have to go through SAMs, or do I just work with a prime contractor who does all that and they just work directly with me?
Well, actually, subcontracting with a prime contractor is actually a commercial contract. But there's a caveat, because there can be flow-down clauses from the Federal Acquisition Regulation, the FAR.
Now we warned you this was audio only, and you brought this really big.
Like I say, it's 6 inches thick.
Yeah, this like a yellow page looking, old yellow page looking phone book back in the day. But it would make quite the thud if we dropped it on the table.
Yes, or you were to hit me with it. Anyway, the prime contractors work directly with the federal agency. They manage the subcontractors, and they're responsible for ensuring the work is completed and defined as per the contract. The subcontractors do not work directly with the government, but instead they work for that prime contractor. So they require large companies to subcontract with small businesses. So it's really good for those small businesses, again, that are looking at federal contracting to go down that lane. Look at the subcontracting opportunities with some local prime contractors.
And do you help them connect to those prime contractors? Is that something you get involved with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. If a company came to me and asked me and said, "Hey, Mark, this is what we do. Can you let me know what prime contractors are out there?" And not just North Carolina. I would share what prime contractors are out there across the country that they may be able to participate as a subcontractor.
Be careful what you ask for. You might get the Entrepreneur Exchange bump, and your inbox might be very
happens
full.
often.
On Monday. So be careful there, Mark.
Yeah, great.
Well, this is, you do this every day of your working life and live with it, and appreciate you sharing. I feel like we're touching the surface, but I feel if we went too deep, we'd be banging our heads against the table. But do you have any other advice for our listeners who are thinking about starting to do work with the government? Just any other good advice for them?
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities out there. So what I would say is, again, look at what has been done previously that you're doing as your business, your product or service that you're providing. See what's out there. Sign up for Match Force if you're in North Carolina. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can start looking at those federal opportunities. They'll come to your inbox. It's really a great opportunity to just look and say, hey, I'm not sure if we want to delve into this space, Mark. And I say, sign up and just see what happens. And then as you need assistance, you can contact us.
I would think that's something businesses should be, I don't know if wary is the right word, but just in terms of cash flow management. I assume that when you get a government contract, it pretty much lays out when you get paid, but I also assume you're probably not getting at least most of your pay until after your work is complete. So I guess it's sort of buyer beware or contractor beware, just to factor in cash flow management into your plans to make sure that you can support the project and have enough money coming in before you might get paid by the government.
Yeah. Years past, that was kind of a problem that, hey, look at, I worked for the federal government and it took me 180 days to get paid. Mm-hmm. That's really not the case anymore. In fact, 15 to 20 days after you perform, they've really done a great job. The federal government has done a great job. Now, again, there's those cases out there. Somebody would say, yeah, but Mark, I had a contract and it took them 45 days. In most circumstances, they're pretty efficient getting the vendors paid.
Well, in ordinary commercial business, that happens where you normally get paid and something happens. So, but that's amazing. I didn't think that it would be 15 to 20 or even 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you sharing information, and that this is, for some businesses, quite a big opportunity, but one that requires some planning and research, as you said, before people can really take advantage of it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Before you leave, we have our lightning round that we want you to participate in, which this month is being sponsored by Globo Gym. You need to lose some weight and get in shape? Don't go to Globo Gym. If you already look good, you should go to Globo Gym. You should check it out on the internet. So, Mark, we've got some quick questions, quick answers. Don't overthink it. Speak loudly, clearly into your microphone. Question number 1, what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve.
Yes. What makes you crazy?
Except the lightning round from a podcast.
Yeah. People that drive 60 miles an hour in the passing lane.
Driving issues would probably be on my list too. It's just the people that don't use the turn signals that make me crazy. But anyway, what is the vacation spot you'd most like to visit post-pandemic? Which I guess we're getting close to post-pandemic.
Oh gosh. I spent 12 years in Europe, so I would love to go back to southern Germany. It's just beautiful.
Okay. Who is your business role model?
My business role model, I think that would be a couple of folks I work with, Byron Hicks from the Small Business and Technology Development Center, and Scott Dorney, who's the executive director of the Military Business Center. Just their ability to strategically look forward is it's pretty amazing.
That feels like a very politically correct
I was
answer.
just saying,
Thank you.
good answers, I would think.
Thank you.
Do we want to send a copy to them?
I guess we do. Mark, what is your favorite Summer Olympic sport?
Summer Olympic sport. I don't have a favorite Summer Olympic sport.
Do you watch any of the Olympics? Are on
I
right
don't.
now.
I'm not even watching the Olympics. I did see that. I thought they had skateboarding and
We won our first gold medal in skateboarding last night.
and so that's how out of touch I am. I was like, skateboarding. So congratulations, getting a gold medal. So
Mark's
USA,
doing
baby.
productive things, and I know that we won a skateboarding gold medal, so I'm an Olympics junkie.
outstanding, outstanding.
All right. Well, I'm going to put a question mark for Mark on that one. All right. Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones.
Okay. He's rocking. Do you have a TV or movie streaming recommendation for our listeners? Anything that they should be watching? No? You don't watch TV?
Very limited. No, I just spend a lot of time working on my Harley Davidson. So.
Okay. All right. Last question. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To grow hair. No.
You've
answer.
You've
That
got a lot on your face. The top of your head, not so much. I don't know if that qualifies as a superpower. You're wasting your superpower. Come on.
No superpower. I'd abuse it.
You might have played our lightning round as poorly as any guest we've ever had.
Thank you,
okay?
Jeff.
So,
He played it honestly, though.
Thank you, Jeff.
yeah. All right. Well, we're going to have to rethink this whole thing, Gary. I don't know. We might have to
It
rethink.
was good. Got
All
some
right.
good talking about.
Mark, if people want to find you in the North Carolina Military Business Center, where should they be looking?
Use the website, www.ncmbc.us.
.us. Okay, and you can find Mark out there as well. Mark Mills, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being on our podcast. And we always like to wind up our podcast by sharing some interesting small businesses that we've come across. Mark, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, or you passing today?
Well, I had the opportunity to tour Schneider Mills in Taylorsville, and just a great facility and just very professional folks that work there and provide fabric to the federal government and Department of Defense. And we want to say thank you.
And they're very strong partners of the college, too. So
All right.
I'm glad for that shout out.
Schneider Mills and Taylorsville. All right, Gary, who are you going to talk about today?
Thanks, Jeff. My business of the month comes from one of my favorite TV shows, so I guess I'll give a shout out for television viewing in Shark Tank. The name of the company and product is Fur Zapper. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
I hadn't either until Shark Tank, just a little, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Of course, I love finding unique products that help us in our everyday needs. This special product illustrates that sometimes the best ideas are ones that happen accidentally. This new product was created by Michael Swigert, accidentally stumbled upon it while he was doing some different things and found that silicone removes pet hair from laundry during the washing and drying cycles. After Michael discovered this new product idea, he began working with a lawyer and animal welfare enthusiast, Harry Levin, and the team decided to commercialize Fur Zapper. They patented the silicone pet hair remover. It's placed in a washing machine with the laundry during the wash cycle, and then helps to wash away the pet dander, and the fur goes through the draining cycle. After washing is completed, the product is thrown in the dryer with the clothing to send it through the fur through the lint trap, so it gets it 2 different ways, or it gets all the good junk out. Michael and Harry have worked really hard with Fur Zapper and getting into every Walmart store in the country. So it's gone from 0 to 60 very, very quick. The company's on track to earn $5 million in sales in their first year. And of course, the sharks asked when they were on Shark Tank, what do you need us for? But they want to use the funds so they can bring manufacturing back to the States. And so that was, and they had 4 sharks. And who do you think they went with?
I don't know.
Could have been any of them for lots of different
Or all of them.
Could have, that's true. Very well could have been. Lori Grenier.
She's good with the products.
Exactly.
and
So
that
she
sort of
seems
thing.
perfect. And I know our listeners can't see, but the picture, if you remember Scrub Daddy,
Yeah.
that went through Shark Tank and became a multi-million-dollar hit. It looks very similar to it. Of course, Scrub Daddy's for doing dishes and different things like that, but it looks very similar. But it must be very durable material to go through the washer and dryer on a regular basis. But they say it's fantastic, and they've sold $5 million worth of it.
Okay. So Fur Zapper. So
Fur Zapper. I keep
guess-
wanting to call it Fuzz Zapper, but it's Fur Zapper.
So I guess if you Google Fur Zapper, you're probably going to find it. And I guess if you go to your
Go to
local
Walmart,
Walmart store,
they'll
you're
have
going to
it.
find it there as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's very interesting. That's good. I've got cat hair issues. You know, I've got a dog and a
everybody's-
cat.
exactly,
And
everybody's got those
the dog
issues.
is pretty short-haired, but the cat. That's,
But now this is
that's
taking
an
out the
issue.
dandruff as well as the
Dandruff.
hair, or dander, or whatever.
All right. Anyway,
My dog
not
had
a problem
dandruff.
at Mark's house.
Yeah, I have 2 Karen Terriers, so I'll have to look at that
You
product.
see that product?
All
It's
right. Well,
relatively new.
okay. Well, good deal. So my small business is really small this month, but I found it to be somewhat heartwarming. It's a ice cream truck called Special Neat Treats. It was started by a fellow up in Loveland, Ohio, which is near Cincinnati, named Joel Wegner, to help his special needs children sort of integrate into the workforce. So he created he bought a ice cream truck, named it Special Neat Treats. He's got 2 children with Down syndrome, and he's sort of teaching them to do some of the work with them. They're going out together each day. Said it was hard to find something that my kids could plug into and do. So when I started mulling over this, it seemed like a natural to pull them both in. They tag along each day, learn valuable lessons, and they're doing birthday parties and lots of events. He hopes it's going to inspire other people to do very similar things. I said, no matter what your family situation is or the dynamics of what's going on, one thing is that there's hope and there's joy, and brings some normality to life. We're going to go through this as a means of sharing an ice cream with you as much as possible. We want to get out there and share the joy and share hope. So his job during most of the year is with a fundraising company. It slows down during the summer, and that's how he's spending it. So
That's
if
a
you
great
check out
story.
the Special Neat Treats, you'll find them on Facebook and find some news stories about them. I think they're actually going to be doing a segment on Fox News maybe this weekend. So anyway, just thought
Very
it was
cool.
a really good story. So anyway, as Joe Bob would say, you should check it out.
Absolutely.
All right. If you have a suggestion for the Entrepreneur Exchange Small Business of the Month, you can email them to us at eexchange@themesh.tv. We want to thank Mark Mills for joining us today, and we want to thank the Mesh Podcast Network for hosting us. And you should go to themesh.tv to check out all the podcasts going on at the Mesh. They got a lot of fun stuff. Everybody stay healthy out there. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And we look forward to talking with you again next month. Take care.
Take care and stay cool.